Today we delve into a tale of injustice and capitalist greed that set off a chain of events that would continue to devastate lives for generations. We post new videos every Tuesday and Thursday, so stay tuned. In a secured government facility, a once powerful man found himself under house arrest. Sitting in a basic room with beige walls and old furniture, it was far from the luxuries that he was used to. Sitting on a modest desk, overlooking the window, he quietly stared at the world outside. This man, entangled in a crisis of unimaginable proportions, found himself grappling with the repercussions of a disaster that had shaken his professional and personal world to its core. The guilt and horror of the situation were overwhelming, yet he tried to focus on the immediate need, to safeguard his future. The magnitude of the disaster deeply haunted him, yet his primary concern was navigating the legal and ethical turmoil he found himself in. As he sat there, the gravity of his situation became increasingly apparent. He was at a crossroads, facing the consequences of his actions and decisions. This period of forced isolation was not just a time of legal reckoning, but also a moment of profound personal introspection, a time to reflect on his legacy and the indelible mark he had left on the world. The past week had been a whirlwind of accusations, revelations, and a public outcry for justice. But now, he was alone, trying to figure out where things went wrong. He thought about the secrets he kept and the ways he tried to save himself from trouble. Even though he felt guilty about the disaster, his main worry was about protecting himself. It was a time for him to think hard about his past actions and what they meant for his future. Realizing there was no escape, he felt trapped. The documents he had desperately tried to destroy were now exposed, splashed across the media for all to see. It was only a matter of time before he would have to face the consequences of his actions. Surrounded by police officials in the guest house, he knew running wasn't an option. Even if he managed to slip away, his recognizable face made anonymity impossible. The public's anger, fueled by the unfolding scandal, was a force he couldn't evade. As he sat there, pondering his limited options, something caught his eye, something that had been there all along but had somehow escaped his notice. A telephone. He swiftly reached for it, half expecting to find the line disconnected, a standard procedure in situations like his. To his surprise, the telephone was still working. The dial tone hummed in his ear, a sound that suddenly opened a world of possibilities. Wasting no time, he grabbed the phone and dialed a number he knew by heart. Within hours of that crucial call, the situation took a dramatic turn. He was quietly escorted out of the guest house and into a vintage ambassador car with tinted windows. As the car glided through the streets that now stood as silent witnesses to his downfall. The journey to the airstrip was swift but heavy with the weight of his actions. Upon arrival at the airstrip, a private jet awaited him on the tarmac, its engines humming fiercely in readiness. Beyond the barbed wires that bordered the airstrip, media crews with their cameras and throngs of shocked onlookers gathered, their presence a stark reminder of the public outrage he had ignited. Under the watchful eyes of the press and the public, he boarded the jet. As the plane took off, soaring into the sky, he left behind a city in turmoil and a legacy marred by controversy. The image of his escape in the private jet, broadcasted and captured by the media, would become a lasting symbol of his dramatic exit from the crisis he had created. This man was Warren Anderson, the CEO of Union Carbide Corporation, overseeing operations of a pesticide plant in Bhopal, a bustling city in the heart of India. But 4 days prior to his house arrest, an unimaginable tragedy struck, one that would forever scar the city and its people. In the early hours of December 3, 1984, a disastrous gas leak occurred at the Union Carbide plant. Methyl isocyanate, an extremely toxic and volatile chemical used in pesticide production, was released into the air. The incident unfolded when water inadvertently entered tank 610 containing MIC. This contact triggered a violent chemical reaction, causing the temperature and pressure inside the tank to rise exponentially, and leading to the release of the toxic gas into the atmosphere. My Sea is notorious for its potency and ability to cause severe harm even at low concentrations. As it enveloped Bhopal, it caused immediate respiratory distress, burning in the eyes, and chaos in the streets. People woke up coughing and choking, unable to escape the invisible killer that had invaded their homes. Many died from suffocation, while others succumbed to the long-term health complications caused by the exposure. This lethal gas leak, which resulted in the death of approximately 20,000 people, was not a mere accident, but the culmination of gross negligence. Union Carbide had cut corners on safety and infrastructure, disregarding numerous reports and warnings about the plant's hazardous conditions. Despite clear signs of danger, operations continued, prioritizing profit over safety. In the aftermath of the Bhopal Gas Tragedy, Warren Anderson fled to the United States. There, he lived out the rest of his life, shielded from the repercussions of the disaster he was associated with. Despite demands for his extradition to India to face charges, he remained protected under the aegis of the US government, never having to answer for the tragedy in Bhopal. In 1989, Union Carbide Corporation agreed to a settlement of $470 million with the Indian government as full and final compensation for those affected by the gas leak. However, this compensation, which seemed significant on paper, never reached the actual victims. The legacy of the Bhopal disaster is a continuing tragedy for the families who lived through it. Generations born after the incident still suffer from the consequences, with many children born with severe birth defects and chronic health issues, a direct result of the toxic exposure their parents and grandparents endured. Decades later, the survivors and their families continue their fight for justice, a quest that increasingly seems like a distant dream. Their demands for adequate compensation, proper medical care, and a thorough cleanup of the contamination site remain largely unmet. The Bhopal gas tragedy, thus, remains an open wound, a stark reminder of the long-term human cost of industrial negligence and the challenges in holding imperial capitalists accountable for their actions on a global scale. Thank you for watching this video. For more content like this, stay tuned and subscribe to our channel. Stay safe, and until the next time.